Hey, what is going on, guys? Carter here. Got another video for you. This is going to be an EDC head-to-head with two very popular knives. They're going to go the rounds. Winner takes all. There can only be one. No, just joking. What I am going to do is talk about both these knives. I have carried both of them, and I also have free time on my hands, so I've thought about things, and I'm making a video about it. So here we have the Les George VECP. It's a mid-tech knife. He contracts out a good portion of the work, a lot of the simpler things, I'm assuming cutting out the blanks and things like that. Over here we have a Strider SNG. Some people consider that a mid-tech knife as well. I personally don't. That's just my view. I believe mid-techs have to be worked on by the creator, at least in some facet, whereas this is, this is an employee. There is a lot of handwork involved here, but it's, employee. It's not Mick or Dwayne. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. For the most part, they're on the same level. Kind of a handmade, half handmade type deal. Size-wise, you're looking at, and I'm not going to talk numbers here. I'm not going to say, oh, this one weighs this one weighs that. I'm going to say this one feels heavier and is heavier. So, comparison-wise, blade length, you're looking about the same. Cutting edge, VECP is going to give you a little bit more. The VECP is overall longer though. Some people like that, some people don't. Some people like the extra real estate on the handle. Other people say that, this extra right here is just, waste. It's taking up space, it's not giving you extra cutting edge, that's what's important. So, that's up for debate on what you prefer. But you can see the actual blade lengths are almost exactly the same, but the Strider has a choil, and I'll go into that as well. Weight, Strider is considerably lighter. It's actually quite a bit lighter. However, it is a little thicker. Not by a ton. This has a lot of beveling work, which kind of, actually maybe if I close the blades, there we go. It's actually almost the same, really. And it's hard to tell because this beveling is kind of deceiving. It kind of gives you a false edge. But I would say the VECP is a little bit thinner. And I did mention that it is lighter, the SNG. The stock, the SNG is a little bit thicker, not by a ton. And the blade remains a lot thicker towards the tip. So this is definitely going to give you more of a prying type action. But it also has this awesome, you can see my ugly face right there, also has this awesome flat grind, which makes it a good slicer. So I really dig this blade shape. It gives you tons of strength all the way to the tip, kind of like a Tonto, but you get this flat, long grind. So you get some really good slicing capabilities out of such a tough blade. Out of the two, based on my impressions, I would say that the SNG, I think, is a little tougher, a little stronger. It's got a larger pivot, which, by the way, I'm not, when I say I like a larger pivot, it is not because I think a pivot is going to break on you. It's because the larger the pivot, the more solid it's going to be. I'm trying to think of a way to kind of explain that, but you're going to get less wiggle room with a large pivot like that. It covers more surface area when it interacts with the tie and the G10, and it makes it more solid. So you can actually have that pivot pretty loose and, smooth. This is super smooth, and it's still, it's new. I've just played with it a little bit, and yet it's gonna be completely solid. And this is a very solid blade as well, but I think this is just a better option for me, this larger pivot. Another thing adding to the weight is, the fact that this uses a spider hole type thing, where this one, not only does it not reduce that hole, it adds extra metal there. And that's about the only little kind of complaint. I mean, I hate to call it a complaint, but that's the only thing people really say, if they could say anything negative about the VECP, is it is on the heavy side. It's a lot of, you know, the full tie construction. But that's a benefit for this. You can do things like put this in an autoclave if you needed to disinfect it. You know, it's an all steel design. The blade is the only thing that is pervious to corrosion, just like this. But it does make it a little bit heavier. Another thing that I am going to, well, this uses stop pins on the blade, thumb studs, I guess you could say, even though you don't use it as thumb studs. I guess you can, but it's awkward. That uses thumb studs, this uses a stop pin. Both the same to me. I don't have any preference either way. I think they're both really, really good options. One thing, oh, and price point. Duh, I should have started with that price point. They're like exactly the same price. I mean, this you can't find because he's way behind and things like that, but this retails for like 400 bucks, that's 400 bucks, same thing. But one thing that the Strider has up on the VECP is options. There's a lot of different options for the SNG. There's a lot of different options for the SNG within the same price point. You've got 3 different colors here. You've got stonewashed or flamed. You've got stonewash blade, there's ghost stripe blade, there's regular stripe blade, and then there's all black blade. And then if you add a little bit more money, you can get contoured handles in the concealed carry arena, as well as digital camo. You can upgrade to the double gunner grips. So you've got a lot of different options here. This is it. There's going to be some changes, it looks like, on his newest run of these, but you're still only going to have one option. You know, there's not going to be multiples, and that's really just because this hasn't established itself quite as well as the SNG. I'm trying to think of anything else that I can really kind of go over between the two. Fit and finish, I think you're going to be more consistent on the VECP. Strider is known to let a few things go out here and there. None of them affect functionality, but you know, sometimes you may have a little ding on the titanium or scratch. Sometimes it's not perfectly centered. It's not rubbing, but it's just not. This one is actually perfectly centered. Sometimes you might get a few machining marks. You know, nothing huge, but you know, it's there. Whereas the VECP seems like it's a little more consistent in being pretty much flawless. Next thing is, let's talk ergos. Ergos goes to the VECP, hands down. If you've ever held an Emerson, this is very similar to that. This, you know, this finger choil right here is just feels like amazing. Perfect curve back here, fits in your hand perfectly. Only downside is it is a little wide up at the top here compared to the bottom. You know, something to consider if you care about those kinds of things. The jimping is pretty, I don't know, I think most people would call it non-functional. Some people may say it is. I mean, I guess it's partially functional. It's pretty rounded, as you can see. Not all that grippy. This is very grippy, especially down here on the handle. Extremely hard cut. Up here, it's just slightly harder cut than the VECP up on the blade right there. So I'd give that to the Strider as far as that goes. Ergos on the Strider though, probably, you know, the biggest thing. They have this trademark straight line thing here, and this creates quite the hot spot right here. Digs kind of into your hand. You know, if you're holding it lightly, no big deal. If you're wearing gloves, no big deal. But if you really squeeze on it, you can definitely feel a hot spot right there. And you know, depending on the size of your hands, you may get one if you do the choke up, and depending on the angle, like here, nothing. But if you kind of grip it here more, you'll get it back here. So you could say that that is a downside. I haven't found it to be problematic. There's never been a time I've been cutting something and I've been like, oh, this is uncomfortable. It's been perfectly fine for me, but you know, that is something to consider. And I think, oh, lockup. The lockup, as far as strength, I would actually have to give to the Strider. And it's not because, you know, and I'm going to do a separate video on lockup actually. It's not because, you know, the Strider is a thicker lock bar or the percentage that it locks up. They're both about the same. Strider comes out of the box with a little bit higher percentage than the VECP. But the main reason why, and I'll talk more at length about this in another video, is, and this is pretty small. I'm not a physicist, so I don't know. Physicist, is that the right? Oh, freaking camera shuts off after 10 minutes. Sorry guys, I've been talking so long. And I'm going to go into this more in another video. I tried to cram it into this one, it's just too much. But basically the principle goes, and it's, you know, it's just physics. The farther away your lock face is from your pivot apex, the stronger your lock is going to be. And in this case, this one is quite a bit closer. But like I said, I don't know if the difference is really that negligible. It's definitely there, but I don't know if that actually makes a difference. So anyway, so here's a comparison of these two folders. They're both obviously great. Another plus to the VECP that I just noticed, because, you know, I do gonzo style, guys. I just start going at it. This you can do tip down, which I've never heard of anybody saying, oh, thank God I can do tip down on this folder. But there's got to be somebody out there that wants tip down. Somebody or somebodies. Alright guys, take it easy. Pick which one you want. Both same price range. You got more options here. It's lighter. Personally, I feel this is a more robust design, just in terms of strength. But this one has more class and better fit and finish and style. That's in the eye of the beholder. Alright guys, take it easy.